Have you ever seen a person being mistreated in public, only to be shocked by the way someone with power chooses to react? What if, in a coffee shop, a waiter is humiliated in front of everyone, and the person who could easily turn a blind eye, an actor, decides to do something unexpected, standing up for the one being mistreated? What kind of difference could that make? Eun-Woo, the popular K-drama star known for his charm and humility, was having a quiet afternoon at his favorite local coffee shop. It was a place he often frequented, a spot known for its cozy ambience, friendly staff, and the perfect cup of coffee. That afternoon, he sat at the corner table, sipping his coffee and going over some scripts, enjoying the calm before his next busy schedule. The coffee shop was fairly busy that day, with people chatting, working on their laptops, and enjoying their drinks. The air was filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and soft music played in the background. The staff moved between tables, serving drinks and taking orders. One of the waiters, a young man in his 20s, was busy delivering a coffee to a table near the back when a customer, a well-dressed woman, waved him over with an impatient motion. She had been waiting for a while and wasn't pleased with the delay, though it was clearly a busy afternoon for the staff. The waiter, noticing her impatient expression, immediately walked over, trying to remain professional. "I'm so sorry for the wait, ma'am," he said politely, his tone apologetic. "What can I get for you?" The woman, a regular customer who was known for her harsh demeanor, glared at him, clearly annoyed. "I've been sitting here for 20 minutes, she said coldly, her voice rising. "And you didn't even bother to check on me. How unprofessional. Do you know who I am? Do you think I have all day to sit here and wait for you?" The waiter, already feeling uncomfortable under the pressure, attempted to explain the situation, though his words were soft and unsure. "Ma'am, I truly apologize for the delay. It's been a busy afternoon, but I'll make sure to get your order right away." But the woman was having none of it. She raised her voice even higher, making sure everyone in the coffee shop could hear her. "I don't care if it's busy. You should have prioritized me. I'm a paying customer, and this is how you treat your customers? No wonder this place is always empty. The service here is terrible." Her words stung, not just because of the harshness in her tone, but because she was humbling a young man who was just doing his job. The waiter's face flushed with embarrassment, and his hands trembled slightly as he took a step back. He had been working hard all day, and this outburst seemed like a reminder of how easy it was for others to disregard the effort he put into his work. The other customers in the shop noticed the exchange but did nothing. They exchanged uncomfortable glances, some of them shrinking in their seats, others looking down at their phones, avoiding any confrontation. It was clear that the woman's words were affecting the waiter, but no one stepped in to help him. At that very moment, Eun-Woo, who had been quietly observing the situation from his corner table, stood up. He had seen enough. He couldn't stand by and watch this young man be humiliated any longer, especially when he was doing nothing wrong. Eun-Woo walked over to the woman, his presence immediately grabbing her attention. The room fell silent as the actor approached. The woman, still standing, looked at Eun-Woo with an air of surprise, not recognizing who he was at first. She hadn't expected anyone to step into her conversation, let alone a celebrity. "Excuse me, ma'am," Eun-Woo said, his voice calm but firm. "What you just said was uncalled for. This young man is working hard, trying to do his job in a busy cafe. Your words have hurt him, and I don't think that's how anyone should be treated, no matter their role." The woman looked at him, momentarily stunned, before she recognized Eun-Woo, the famous actor. Her posture immediately shifted, her eyes wide with surprise. "Oh. I didn't realize it was you. I apologize, I didn't mean to cause a scene." Eun-Woo didn't let her off the hook so easily. "It's not about me," he said, his gaze unwavering. "It's about respect. No one deserves to be spoken to like that, no matter who they are. Everyone, whether they're serving food, working behind a counter, or just doing their best to get by, deserves to be treated with kindness." The woman, now visibly embarrassed, lowered her gaze. She mumbled something, but Eun-Woo wasn't done. He turned to the waiter, who was standing silently by, still trying to regain his composure. "Don't let anyone make you feel small. You matter, and your work is important," Eun-Woo said, offering him a reassuring smile. The young waiter's eyes widened, the weight of the actor's words sinking in. He had been the target of verbal abuse, but now, here was someone famous, standing up for him. It was more than just a kind gesture, it was a reminder that even in a moment of humiliation, he was worthy of respect. The actor turned back to the woman. I hope this serves as a reminder that we should all treat each other with dignity, no matter who they are or what they do for a living. The woman, now fully realizing the gravity of her actions, nodded apologetically. You're right. I shouldn't have spoken to him like that. I'm sorry. Eun-Woo smiled, nodding in acknowledgement. It's not about being sorry, he said. It's about learning from this moment and doing better moving forward. As Eun-Woo and the waiter returned to their seats, the atmosphere in the coffee shop shifted. The tension that had filled the air moments earlier began to dissipate. The other customers, who had been quietly watching, now seemed to take a collective breath, relieved by the way the situation had been handled. Eun-Woo sat back down, glancing over at the waiter. You did nothing wrong, he said softly. Keep your head up. You're doing great. The waiter smiled, his eyes full of gratitude, finally feeling seen and heard. Thank you, sir. I won't forget this. The atmosphere in the coffee shop had returned to a quiet calm, but the ripple effects of Eun-Woo's actions lingered in the air. People went back to their conversations and work, but there was a newfound sense of respect in the room. It was as if Eun-Woo's words had not only changed the course of one humiliating moment but had also reminded everyone present of the power of empathy and kindness. As the afternoon progressed, the young waiter continued his shift, though his posture had changed. He moved through the cafe with more confidence, his head held a little higher. He was no longer the invisible figure he had been before. Eun-Woo's words had given him the courage to stand tall, even in the face of adversity. Every now and then, he would glance over at the actor's table, a silent thank you in his gaze. Eun-Woo, for his part, didn't expect anything in return. He wasn't looking for praise or recognition, he simply believed in standing up for what's right. It wasn't about being a hero, it was about using the platform he had to set an example of respect and kindness. He had no idea that his simple intervention would cause such a ripple effect throughout the coffee shop and beyond. As he finished his coffee, Eun-Woo gathered his belongings and prepared to leave. Before he walked out, he caught the waiter's eye once more. The young man had just finished delivering an order to a table, and their eyes met for a brief moment. Take care of yourself, Eun-Woo said with a smile. The waiter nodded, his voice soft but full of gratitude. Thank you, sir. I'll never forget this. Eun-Woo smiled back, knowing that his small act of kindness had made a big difference. As he left the coffee shop, he couldn't help but reflect on how easily things could have turned out differently if no one had spoken up. It was a simple reminder that each of us has the power to change someone's day, to make someone feel valued, and to stand up for what's right, even when no one is watching. Outside, the sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the bustling streets. Eun-Woo walked through the crowd, a sense of peace settling within him. The world was full of busy people, rushing from one place to another, often forgetting to pause and recognize the humanity in those around them. But today, he had been reminded of how one small action could spark a shift in someone's life. Later that evening, as Eun-Woo checked his phone, he saw that the incident at the coffee shop had already made its way onto social media. A video of the moment, filmed by a bystander who had witnessed the exchange, was being shared widely. In the footage, Eun-Woo could be seen speaking to the woman in a calm, yet firm, manner, standing up for the waiter and offering his support. The video had been viewed thousands of times, with people praising the actor for his intervention and his message of respect. What struck Eun-Woo most wasn't the praise or the attention, it was the messages that poured in from all over, telling stories of similar experiences, of people feeling invisible or unappreciated in their daily lives. Many shared how they, too, had been on the receiving end of harsh words and how the video had reminded them of their own worth. One message, in particular, stood out to Eun-Woo. It was from a woman who worked as a cashier at a supermarket. I've been doing my job for years, she wrote, and so often, people treat me like I'm invisible. They don't see how hard I work, how much I care. After seeing what you did today, I felt like someone finally understood. Thank you for standing up for the waiter. It reminded me that I'm worth more than the way some people treat me. Eun-Woo was moved by the message. He replied with a simple yet heartfelt response: "You matter. Your work matters. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." In the days that followed, the hashtag #RespectEveryone hashtag continued to trend on social media. People from all over the world shared their own stories of kindness and respect, celebrating the simple act of acknowledging the humanity in others. Eun-Woo's actions had sparked a larger conversation about how we treat those who are often overlooked, whether it's at a cafe, a store, or in any other setting where people's roles are often underestimated. The coffee shop incident had become a catalyst for something much bigger, a movement that was gaining momentum, encouraging people to see each other as equals and to act with kindness, especially toward those in service positions. Eun-Woo's willingness to speak up had turned a moment of discomfort into an opportunity for growth and change, not just for the waiter, but for the entire community. As Eun-Woo reflected on the impact of his actions, he realized that change didn't always have to come in big, grand gestures. Sometimes, it was the small, everyday acts of kindness that had the most profound impact. And while he knew there was still much work to be done, he also knew that every step, no matter how small, brought them closer to the world they wanted to create, a world where everyone, no matter their job or status, was treated with the respect and dignity they deserved. The days following Eun-Woo's intervention at the coffee shop were filled with an unexpected wave of messages, media attention, and public gratitude. People from all walks of life shared their experiences, their stories of being mistreated or overlooked, and how Eun-Woo's actions had inspired them to take a closer look at the way they treat others. But Eun-Woo, ever the humble individual, wasn't looking for praise or recognition. He knew that the real change came from small, consistent acts of kindness, not from grand gestures or fleeting moments of attention. Still, as he saw the hashtag #RespectEveryone trending and messages flooding in from fans and even strangers, he felt that he was part of something much larger than himself. In an interview a few days later, Eun-Woo was asked about the incident at the coffee shop and the viral video that had emerged from it. The interviewer, a young woman with a bright smile, began, "You've always been known for your kindness, but your reaction at the coffee shop truly surprised everyone. What motivated you to speak up for the waiter like that?" Eun-Woo smiled, looking thoughtful for a moment before replying. "It wasn't about the attention or about me being in the public eye. It was about what's right. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect, no matter their job, their background, or their status in life. That waiter was simply doing his job, and he didn't deserve to be humiliated. If I can use my voice to stand up for others, to remind them that they matter, then I'll do it every time." The interviewer nodded, clearly impressed by his sincerity. "Do you think this incident has changed the way people view service workers? Has it had a lasting impact?" "I hope so," Eun-Woo answered. "What I've learned is that respect isn't something we should reserve for the people we think are important. We need to give it to everyone, especially those who often go unnoticed. I think the more we remind people of this, the more they will begin to see the value in every individual, no matter their role." The conversation quickly turned to the impact the video had on people, especially those in the service industry. Many workers, particularly those in restaurants, cafes, and stores, shared how they felt seen and valued for the first time in a long while. Some even shared that they had begun to stand up for themselves when they were mistreated, inspired by Eun-Woo's example. One of the most impactful messages came from a young woman who worked as a barista in a small cafe. She wrote, "I've been working at this cafe for 3 years. I love what I do, but sometimes the way people treat me, like I'm invisible, or worse, like I'm not even worth a simple thank you, it's hard to handle. After seeing what you did for that waiter, I realized I don't have to accept that kind of treatment anymore. I matter, and I won't let anyone make me feel small again." Reading the message, Eun-Woo felt a sense of fulfillment. It wasn't about him, it was about the ripple effect his actions had created. People were beginning to stand up for themselves, to demand respect, and to see each other as equals. This wasn't just a viral moment, it was the beginning of a shift in the way society viewed those who served in public-facing roles. A few weeks after the coffee shop incident, Eun-Woo was approached by a well-known advocacy group dedicated to workers' rights. They wanted him to partner with them on a campaign that would focus on the treatment of service workers, encouraging companies to implement better working conditions and respect for their staff. The campaign would include educational programs, resources for workers, and a public awareness initiative to highlight the importance of kindness in the workplace. Eun-Woo immediately agreed to the partnership, knowing that this was another opportunity to make a tangible difference. If we can change the way people treat each other in the workplace, he said during a press conference, then we can start changing the world. We all deserve to be treated with dignity. The campaign launched successfully, and Eun-Woo continued to advocate for service workers, using his platform to speak out on their behalf. The campaign spread rapidly, with many companies signing up to provide better working conditions and offering training on how to treat employees with respect and empathy. In addition to his advocacy work, Eun-Woo was also invited to speak at schools and universities, encouraging young people to think critically about the way they treat others. His message was clear: kindness and respect were not just values to be admired, but values to be practiced every day. He urged his audience to reflect on their own actions and consider the impact they could have on those around them. At one university talk, a student raised her hand and asked, "What can we do to help the people who work behind the scenes, like the custodians, the waiters, and the cleaners, in our own communities? How can we show them that they matter?" Eun-Woo smiled and replied, "Start by acknowledging them. Don't wait for a special occasion to say thank you. It's the small gestures that make the difference: smiling at someone when they serve you, saying thank you when they do something for you, and recognizing the hard work they put in every day. That's how we start." His words inspired many students to take action in their own lives, and the ripple effect of his message continued to grow. Each day, more people took steps to show kindness to service workers, to stand up for them when they were mistreated, and to remind them that their work mattered. Eun-Woo knew that the work was far from over. There was still so much to be done to create a world where everyone, regardless of their role in society, was treated with respect and dignity. But as he saw the positive changes unfolding around him, he knew that he had sparked something powerful. The waiter, who had been humiliated in the coffee shop, sent Eun-Woo a message a few months later. "I just wanted to thank you again," it read. "Since that day, things have been so different for me. I've gained more confidence, and I've even started to speak up when I'm treated unfairly. I no longer feel invisible." Eun-Woo's heart swelled with pride as he read the message. This was why he had stood up for that waiter, to show him that he mattered. And in doing so, he had ignited a movement that had empowered countless others. And as Eun-Woo reflected on everything that had transpired, he knew that this was just the beginning. One act of kindness could change a person's life, and if enough people joined in, it could change the world. As Eun-Woo continued to be involved in the campaign for workers' rights and dignity, the momentum began to build. The ripple effect from the coffee shop incident grew into something bigger, as people across various communities took notice of his message and followed his lead. Social media platforms became flooded with stories of people standing up for service workers, sharing acts of kindness, and participating in the #RespectEveryone movement. The viral video of Eun-Woo speaking up for the waiter was now a symbol of how empathy and kindness could spark real change. But it wasn't just online where the change was happening. The impact was being felt in workplaces and institutions. Businesses were beginning to implement new policies that prioritized respect for workers in every industry: hospitality, retail, healthcare, and more. Eun-Woo received calls from CEOs, business leaders, and non-profit organizations asking how they could be part of the movement. Some businesses even started offering specialized training programs on how to treat employees with dignity, using Eun-Woo's words as the foundation. In one of his meetings with business leaders, Eun-Woo spoke about the importance of acknowledging workers' value. "Respect shouldn't be something that's only given when it's convenient," he said during the meeting. "It should be constant. Every single person, no matter their job, contributes to something bigger. We need to create a world where no one feels invisible, no matter their role." His words resonated deeply with the leaders in the room, and soon, they began implementing changes within their organizations, offering better benefits for workers, ensuring better working conditions, and training managers to create more inclusive and respectful environments. Eun-Woo was impressed by the rapid adoption of these policies and felt reassured that this was not a passing trend, but a real shift in how society viewed the value of workers. One evening, Eun-Woo received a call from his manager about a new initiative that had been created in honor of the #RespectEveryone movement. It was a national campaign aimed at recognizing and rewarding workers who showed exceptional dedication to their jobs, no matter their position. The campaign would include awards, incentives, and recognition for service workers who went above and beyond in their duties. Eun-Woo was deeply moved by the idea. "This is exactly the kind of initiative we need," he said over the phone. "We should be celebrating people for who they are, not just what they do. Recognizing them for their hard work will remind others of the importance of treating everyone with respect." The campaign launched with great success. The first round of awards saw service workers from across the country being celebrated for their outstanding contributions. Stories were shared of workers who had gone the extra mile to help customers, solve problems, or make someone's day a little brighter. The awards ceremony, which Eun-Woo attended as a guest of honor, was a heartwarming celebration of the workers who often went unnoticed. "I want to thank everyone who has been a part of this movement," Eun-Woo said during his speech at the ceremony. "This is just the beginning, but we've already made a significant impact. We are reminding the world that no one is less important than anyone else, regardless of their job or status. You all deserve respect, and I'm so proud to be part of this effort." The applause that followed was not just for Eun-Woo, but for the workers who were being recognized. These workers had felt overlooked for so long, but now, they were standing in the spotlight, finally receiving the acknowledgement they deserved. It was an emotional moment, not just for the award recipients, but for everyone who had worked hard to make this change happen. After the ceremony, Eun-Woo received messages from all over the world, thanking him for his commitment to this cause. His fans, who had always admired him for his acting, now admired him for his dedication to social change. His example had inspired them to act, to speak up when they saw injustice, and to make a conscious effort to treat everyone with kindness and respect. As the weeks passed, Eun-Woo became increasingly involved in the #RespectEveryone movement. He visited schools, where he spoke to students about empathy, kindness, and standing up for others. He met with community leaders, advocating for better working conditions for service workers and sharing stories of how respect and kindness could change lives. During a visit to a local school, Eun-Woo was asked by a young student, "How can we make sure that this movement doesn't stop? How can we keep it going for years to come?" Eun-Woo smiled warmly at the student and replied, "It's simple. We keep the conversation going. Every time we see someone being treated unfairly, we speak up. Every time we see someone being overlooked, we make sure they know they're seen. And we teach the next generation the importance of kindness, empathy, and respect. This is something that can last forever if we all keep working toward it." The students in the room clapped, inspired by his words. Eun-Woo knew that this generation, the young people who were just starting to understand the importance of respect, would be the ones who would carry this movement forward. He was helping to lay the foundation for a future where kindness was the norm, not the exception. As Eun-Woo continued to work on the movement, he also reflected on how far he had come personally. What had started as a simple act of standing up for a waiter in a coffee shop had turned into a powerful wave of change, spreading across countries and cultures, touching lives, and shifting perspectives. It had shown him that even the smallest act of kindness could lead to something much bigger than himself. Despite the success of the movement, Eun-Woo remained focused on the long-term goal, a world where every person, regardless of their role, was treated with dignity and respect. He knew it wouldn't be easy, and he knew the journey was far from over. But with every person who joined the cause, with every story of respect and kindness shared, the movement gained strength, and the dream of a more compassionate world seemed closer than ever. As Eun-Woo's campaign continued to gain momentum, the impact of his advocacy began to show in more concrete ways. The #RespectEveryone movement not only encouraged respect for workers, but it began to change the way society viewed the people who worked behind the scenes in all industries. One day, while at a public event discussing social change, Eun-Woo received a message from the manager of the coffee shop where the incident had occurred, informing him of the long-lasting effects of his actions. "We've seen such a change in the way our staff interacts with customers and each other," the manager wrote. "There's been a noticeable shift in attitude. Our workers now feel more valued, and we've received more compliments from customers who appreciate the changes we've made in the workplace. I truly believe your actions that day set this in motion." Eun-Woo felt a deep sense of pride knowing that his decision to speak up for one individual had led to systemic changes in a business. But more importantly, it had created a ripple effect that was changing the way people viewed their roles in society, reminding them that every person's contribution matters. This was not just about one coffee shop or one waiter, it was about transforming how people saw the value in every role. Whether it was someone working in hospitality, education, or healthcare, Eun-Woo believed that dignity and respect should be afforded to all workers, regardless of their status or job. The continued success of the #RespectEveryone movement was also helping break down the barriers that often separated workers from the public, creating a shared understanding that all individuals are deserving of the same fundamental rights: respect, kindness, and appreciation. Eun-Woo was invited to more and more discussions on topics ranging from workplace equality to mental health in the workplace. His perspective was sought after by activists and business leaders, eager to implement change in their industries. One particularly pivotal conversation took place at a global summit on workers' rights, where Eun-Woo was invited to speak alongside influential figures in the world of social justice and business. Eun-Woo took the stage to a room full of attendees eager to hear how a celebrity had managed to spark such significant change in the way service workers were viewed. In his speech, Eun-Woo again emphasized the importance of seeing the humanity in everyone. "Respect isn't a luxury," he said. "It's a fundamental right. Every single person, whether they are working behind the counter, cleaning the floors, or providing care, deserves to be treated with dignity. This is about recognizing that their work is valuable, that they are valuable." The room was silent, absorbing his words. When Eun-Woo finished, a round of applause echoed throughout the hall, but this time, it wasn't for him alone, it was for the message he was championing. As the conversation shifted to actionable steps, Eun-Woo urged the leaders in the room to prioritize policies that not only support the well-being of workers but also foster environments where kindness is actively practiced. "This isn't a one-time thing," he said. "We have to build workplaces and communities that are grounded in respect, where kindness is not a rarity but a norm. It starts with us, the ones in positions to make change. If we can create that culture in our businesses, it will spread far beyond the workplace." His words found a receptive audience, and by the end of the summit, multiple companies had signed pledges to support worker welfare initiatives. Eun-Woo was asked to collaborate with several organizations to develop long-term strategies that would help improve the lives of workers in a variety of sectors, ensuring that their voices were heard and their needs addressed. Meanwhile, the #RespectEveryone movement continued to gather momentum, not only in South Korea but around the globe. In one remarkable instance, a large retail company based in the United States reached out to Eun-Woo for help launching a similar campaign in their stores. They recognized the importance of showing respect to employees and had seen the success of the movement through media coverage. They wanted to use their platform to inspire change across their network of locations. Eun-Woo agreed to collaborate with them, and together, they launched an initiative that included a series of training programs for employees, customer awareness campaigns, and public recognition for workers who demonstrated exemplary service and respect for others. The goal was simple: make respect the foundation of every interaction. While the work Eun-Woo was doing felt rewarding, he also remained conscious of the fact that this movement needed constant effort to truly make lasting change. He continued to travel, speak at events, and meet with community leaders, constantly reminding them of the importance of kindness. He had learned that true transformation happens when people are able to listen and understand each other, when empathy guides actions and policies, and when respect becomes an ingrained part of society. One evening, Eun-Woo received a heartfelt message from his security guard, the same man who had been humiliated at the coffee shop. "Sir, I just wanted to thank you once more. Since that day, I've found a new sense of purpose in my work. I no longer feel invisible. I've learned to speak up when something isn't right, and most importantly, I've learned to believe in myself. Thank you for showing me my worth." Eun-Woo read the message with a warm smile. It was moments like these that reminded him why he had started this journey in the first place. It wasn't just about standing up for someone else in a moment of need, it was about sparking change that lasted, creating a world where respect was not just a concept, but a reality for everyone. With every message, every conversation, and every person who joined the movement, Eun-Woo knew that the change he had hoped for was slowly becoming a reality. The world was starting to listen, and with each step forward, he knew that respect, true, unconditional respect, was becoming the foundation for a better future. As Eun-Woo's campaign continued to grow, the changes were becoming more visible, not just in the workplace but in everyday interactions. The culture of respect was becoming ingrained in society, as businesses, schools, and communities began to adopt new practices focused on kindness, empathy, and mutual appreciation. What had started as a singular act of standing up for a waiter in a coffee shop had now sparked a global movement that was reshaping how people interacted with one another. One afternoon, Eun-Woo sat in a small conference room with a group of social activists and educators. They were discussing the next steps for the movement, how to keep the momentum going and how to reach even more people. His phone buzzed, and he glanced down to see a message from the same waiter from the coffee shop, whose life had been dramatically changed since that fateful day. "Sir," the message began, "I wanted to let you know that I've started working at a new restaurant, and it's a completely different experience. The management is kind, the customers are respectful, and I finally feel valued in my job. I can't thank you enough for showing me what it feels like to be respected." Eun-Woo's heart swelled with happiness as he read the message. His actions, small in the grand scheme of things, had led to profound changes in someone's life. It wasn't just about one individual being treated better, it was about setting a precedent for others to follow, creating a ripple effect of kindness and respect. He quickly typed a response, "I'm so happy to hear that. You deserve to be treated with kindness every day. Keep believing in yourself and know that you matter." Eun-Woo looked around the conference room, where the activists were discussing strategies for expanding the movement. He realized that the work they had done was far from over, but the progress was undeniable. More and more businesses were signing pledges to treat their workers with respect, and companies that had once ignored the importance of employee well-being were now taking action. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from his manager, informing him that the #RespectEveryone campaign had won an award for social impact at a prestigious international event. "Congratulations! This is such a huge achievement," the message read. "Your work has inspired so many people around the world." Eun-Woo smiled, though he knew that the true reward wasn't the recognition or the awards. It was the changes that had taken place on a deeper level, the way people were treating each other, the way service workers were being seen and appreciated, and the way society was shifting toward a more compassionate and respectful future. As he sat there in the conference room, reflecting on everything that had transpired, he knew that his journey had only just begun. There was still so much more to be done, so many people to inspire, and so many conversations to be had. But the movement had taken root, and he was confident that it would continue to grow, no matter where he went or what he did. Eun-Woo had come to realize that the power to change the world didn't always come from the biggest actions or the most visible efforts. Sometimes, it was the smallest, most unexpected gestures, like standing up for a waiter in a coffee shop, that had the greatest impact. It was those moments that sparked something inside people, inspiring them to be better, to treat others with more kindness, and to see the value in everyone, no matter their role in society. That evening, as Eun-Woo stood on the stage to accept the award for social impact, he thought back to the incident in the coffee shop. It was hard to believe how one small act of standing up for someone had led to so much change. And yet, here he was, accepting an award for something that had started as a simple decision to do what was right. The audience cheered as he walked up to the podium. Eun-Woo smiled humbly, his heart still full from the message he had received earlier in the day. It was a reminder that every action, no matter how small, had the potential to create ripples that reached far beyond what anyone could see. He took the microphone, his voice calm but filled with emotion. "This is not my award," he began, looking out at the audience. "This is an award for everyone who believes in kindness, in respect, and in treating others the way we want to be treated. This is an award for those who speak up when they see someone being mistreated, for those who stand up for the invisible people, and for those who, every day, choose empathy over indifference." There was a pause as the room absorbed his words. Eun-Woo continued, "It all started with a small moment, a simple act of kindness. And I'm proud to see that it has turned into something much larger. But the truth is, we all have the power to make a difference. We don't need to be celebrities to change the world, we just need to care." The applause that followed was overwhelming, but Eun-Woo didn't want the recognition for himself. He knew the true power of this movement was not in one individual, but in the collective effort of thousands of people who were working to create a more respectful world. As the event came to a close, Eun-Woo received numerous messages of congratulations and thanks from people around the world, many of whom had been inspired by his advocacy and had begun to make changes in their own communities. He felt a sense of fulfillment, not because of the accolades, but because the message of respect and kindness had taken on a life of its own. Later that evening, Eun-Woo reflected on everything that had happened since that day in the coffee shop. The road had been long, filled with challenges and setbacks, but the progress was undeniable. Workers were being treated with more respect, businesses were adopting better policies for their employees, and communities were beginning to recognize the value in every person, regardless of their job or status. But Eun-Woo knew that the journey was far from over. The movement had gained momentum, but there were still many people who needed to hear the message, many communities that needed to feel the shift. And as he looked to the future, he made a promise to himself: he would continue advocating for respect, for kindness, and for the belief that every person deserves to be treated with dignity. He took a deep breath, his resolve stronger than ever. "It's just the beginning," he whispered to himself, "and I'll keep going." With that, Eun-Woo returned to his work, his heart full of hope for a world where respect was the norm and not the exception. He knew that his journey would never truly end, because kindness, empathy, and respect weren't just movements to start. They were ways of life that needed to be nurtured, every day, by every person. As the sun set over the city, Eun-Woo walked out into the world, ready to continue making a difference, one small act of kindness at a time.